You're about to see in the upcoming clips proof of the fact that Barack Hussein Obama's administration is anti-white and anti-Semitic, that it is a racist administration reflecting the racist ideology that Barack Hussein Obama brought from Jeremiah Wright's church, having been a member of a racist and anti-Semitic church for 20 years. You're going to see and hear the testimony of Obama's own Attorney General, himself an anti-white racist and an anti-Semite named Eric Holder, who admits that the so-called hate crimes legislation that the Obama administration pushed for and got passed is only implemented against whites like George Zimmerman or against certain groups. Muslims and Muslim terrorists who commit hate crimes are not charged under the hate crimes laws. Blacks who attack whites and commit hate crimes, and by the way, blacks are much more likely to commit a hate crime against whites than the other way around. Much more likely, hundreds of times more likely. And yet blacks who commit vicious, racist, and anti-Semitic hate crimes are never going to be charged in the Obama administration. This is just one out of a million instances and a million issues that proves how dangerous it is to re-elect Barack Hussein Obama to a second term. But first, watch these crimes, watch what Obama says, and watch what his Attorney General says in the upcoming clips.
Is there a reason for someone to think that this is odd? Does that strike you as odd, that one might be the crime and another one not?
We're talking about crimes that have a historic basis. Groups who have been targeted for violence as a result of the color of their skin, their sexual orientation. That is what this statute is designed to cover.
Well, I think that's part of the problem. The elderly are not protected groups. Security guards are not protected groups. Okay. Soldiers are apparently not protected groups. Some are protected groups and get special protection under this law.
Well, but one has to look at the history of the unfortunate history of our nation. There are groups who have been singled out, who have been the objects of violence simply because of their sexual orientation, the color of their skin, their ethnicity. We have to face and confront that reality. That which historically has been a problem for that nation continues to be a problem for this nation. In the absence...
I asked you during last week's hearing whether you viewed the June 1st murder of Army Private William Andrew Long that was targeted by a Muslim because he was a U.S. soldier as a hate crime.
Well, there's a certain element of hate, I suppose, in that, but I think what we're looking for here in terms of the expansion of the statute are instances where there is a historic basis to see groups of people who are singled out for violence perpetrated against them because of who they are.
So what we're willing to do is elevate those crimes over the very intended hate crime that this man perpetrated upon this soldier. And we're saying they have an elevated status.
No, it's not a question of elevating the crime. It is dealing with the reality that we confront. 80,000 crimes directed against people who this bill would cover.
But with regard to the soldier that Senator Coburn asked you about, he's not covered, Mr. Attorney General, by the Act. He's not one of these groups, unless he was a homosexual advocating that and that caused the attack. So he wouldn't be covered. There are lots of other groups, people, decent people, that might need additional federal protection if the federal government had all the money in the world and all the time to investigate this.
You know, as a nation, we've come far on the journey towards a more perfect union. And today we've taken another step forward. This afternoon I signed into law the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. Time and again we faced opposition. Time and again the measure was defeated or delayed. Time and again we've been reminded of the difficulty of building a nation in which we're all free to live and love as we see fit.
Out in the open tonight, a crime that has sparked protests in the street, even violence in Knoxville, Tennessee. A young white couple carjacked, raped, and murdered earlier this year, and the suspects, a group of blacks. The question is whether it was a black-on-white hate crime or just a random case of violence.
Now, you understand that we must stand against crimes that are meant not only to break bones, but to break spirits.
Shannon, Kristen, and Christopher Newsom were in the wrong place at a deadly time. The couple were en route to watch a movie at a friend's apartment in this complex in January. Knoxville police believe they were carjacked, kidnapped, and taken to this house.
Not only to inflict harm, but to instill fear.
Both were raped repeatedly. 21-year-old Shannon, a university student, had cleaning fluid sprayed in her mouth. She apparently suffocated after being stuffed into a trash can inside the house.
You understand that the rights afforded every citizen under our Constitution.
Christopher Newsom, 23 years old, was shot, his body set on fire and dumped by the railroad tracks.
Mean nothing if we do not protect those rights, both from unjust laws and violent acts.
A fingerprint found in the victim's car a few days after the murders led to arrests. 3 African-American men and 1 woman were charged with murder in connection with the killings. Another man is charged as an accessory.
And that's why, through this law, we will strengthen the protections against crimes based on the color of your skin. Now, you understand that we must stand against crimes that are meant not only to break bones, but to break spirits.
What unbelievable racist and anti-Semitic hypocrisy. What a double standard. What abysmal, flagrant, blatant injustice. What a farce. Barack Hussein Obama and his Attorney General Eric Holder are running an administration where they are admitting that they are going to perpetrate a policy of institutionalized racism against whites in general and Jews in particular. And also, as we see in the case of George Zimmerman, against Latinos, against Asians, when it suits them. And so, this is just another example of why it is so essential that Barack Hussein Obama be defeated for re-election on November 6th. If, God forbid, Barack Hussein Obama is re-elected, he will never have to face the voters again. He can't run again after serving 2 terms. The Constitution limits a president to only 2 terms. So he will never have to worry about the voters again. He'll never have to face the voters again. And he has already told numerous people that once he's re-elected and doesn't have to face the voters again, then you're really going to see him implement his full agenda as a Muslim and as a Jew hater and as a racist. All of those things will come into play, and he literally is a Muslim and a racist and a Jew hater. If you want more information, and if you realize how essential it is that we work to defeat Barack Hussein Obama for re-election, join our forum, join the JTF forum. You don't have to be Jewish to join the JTF forum. About half of our members are not Jewish. The link to join is below. Hope to see you on the forum. Shalom.